The Colorized Past presents. The Vietnam War began with the collapse of French Indochina in Southeast Asia, following the region's independence from France. After World War II, Japan occupied Indochina. But by 1945, as Japan faced defeat, nationalist sentiments rose sharply in Vietnam, setting the stage for a struggle for independence. Following the war, France attempted to reassert control, but growing unrest led to the 1954 Geneva Accords. These agreements granted independence to Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. Vietnam was temporarily divided at the 17th parallel. North Vietnam under Ho Chi Minh's communist regime, in South Vietnam, where in 1955 a referendum ousted Emperor Bao Dai and placed Ngo Dinh Diem in power. The United States immediately recognized Diem and began offering support. According to the Geneva Accords, North and South Vietnam were supposed to reunite through democratic elections. However, the South, backed by the U.S., feared a likely communist victory and canceled the elections. In response, Ho Chi Minh launched a guerrilla campaign in the South through the Viet Cong. By 1959, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower declared South Vietnam crucial to American national interests, increasing economic and military aid. As tensions rose, rumors of an American atomic strike on Hanoi caused nearly 1 million North Vietnamese to flee south. When John F. Kennedy became president in 1961, U.S. troop presence in Vietnam rose to 17,000. Yet Diem's authoritarian rule grew increasingly unpopular, and in 1963, a U.S.-backed military coup removed him from power. That same year, Kennedy was assassinated and Lyndon B. Johnson became president. In August 1964, North Vietnamese forces allegedly attacked U.S. warships in the Gulf of Tonkin. This led to the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, granting Johnson full authority to escalate U.S. military involvement. By February 1965, the U.S. began bombing North Vietnam and deployed 3,500 troops to defend strategic locations. This marked the start of full-scale American involvement. The U.S. quickly learned that the North was supplying the Viet Cong through the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which ran through Laos. In response, the U.S. dropped over 2 million tons of bombs on Laos between 1964 and 1973, nearly equal to all the bombs dropped in Europe and Asia during World War II. By 1966, U.S. ground forces in Vietnam had reached 185,000. Despite intense search and destroy operations, the guerrilla tactics of the Viet Cong inflicted heavy casualties. That year, nearly 2,700 American soldiers were killed. In early 1968, North Vietnam launched the Tet Offensive, a massive coordinated assault on over 100 cities, including Saigon. Although militarily repelled, the offensive shocked the American public and undermined confidence in the war effort. That year, 21,000 American soldiers died. One of the most disturbing events occurred on March 16, 1968, in My Lai, where U.S. troops massacred around 500 civilians. News of the massacre ignited outrage, fueling anti-war protests across the United States, some of the largest in American history. Although Cambodia declared neutrality, it allowed Viet Cong to use its ports and trails. In 1969, the U.S. began covertly bombing Cambodian border areas. After a 1970 coup led by General Lon Nol, anti-communist forces began executing thousands suspected of aiding the North. In retaliation, North Vietnamese troops invaded Cambodia, seizing 5 provinces within 10 days. The U.S. launched a joint operation with South Vietnam to counterattack and push the communists back. Despite heavy fighting, Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces regrouped through Laos. By 1971, U.S. casualties exceeded 50,000. Anti-war sentiment in America reached a breaking point. President Richard Nixon, facing increasing pressure, announced the gradual withdrawal of American troops. The last combat forces left in March 1973. That same year, on January 27th, the Paris Peace Accords were signed. The U.S. pledged to withdraw all troops within 60 days. However, fighting between North and South Vietnam continued. In April 1975, North Vietnamese troops stormed Saigon. At 11:30 a.m. on April 30th, the Viet Cong raised their flag over the presidential palace. The war was officially over. After nearly 2 decades of bloodshed, with millions killed and vast regions devastated by bombing and chemical weapons, Vietnam was finally reunified as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The war's human cost was staggering. North Vietnam and allies, 1.2 million military deaths and 180,000 civilian casualties. South Vietnam and allies, 350,000 military deaths and 430,000 civilian casualties. United States, 59,000 killed in combat, with thousands more dying from post-war trauma and suicide. The Vietnam War remains one of the most controversial and tragic conflicts in modern history.